welcome back to From Small Things. My name is Sue, and I'm a scrap quilter living here in southeast Pennsylvania. And this week I'll show you what I've kind of been working on. Our temperatures have kind of gotten back to normal again, where the week before we had been in a miserable heat wave, and the humidity in this part of the country here too is like in between 90 and 95%, and it's really unbearable. So during that time I really didn't get much done in the sewing room. The only thing that I had done at that time is, if you are watching the channel, I've been teaching CJ how to sew. And so I sent him home with my spare sewing machine and his fabric that he had picked out. I taught him how to make a simple 9-patch, and so he's been doing some work on that this week. Pam said he has about 7 blocks made now, so he needs to do more. CJ, you have to do a little more than that. But I think he's having fun with it. I hope he's having fun with it. So meanwhile, I've kind of gotten back to a normal groove in my sewing room. And also right now I'm house sitting again for one of my friends, and that will be for 12 days. So my time is split between my time here in my sewing room and then my time at her house, where I did take some projects to work on over there. So let's get caught up and see what I've been working on. Okay, so the first thing I want to share with everybody is this Dresden plate. I got it into a top and I have it all basted now. And just as a recap, as a reminder, these fabrics, these Dresden plates, were given to me by a friend of mine who inherited them from her grandmother, and she had asked me to make a pillow for her. That's all she wanted, was one pillow, and I did do the pillow, but there were 6 more of these large plates left, so I decided to arrange it as a 9-patch. So 5 of these big plates went into it, and then the other 4 spaces I made myself from other little templates that she had in a separate box somewhere. So and I also, this quilt was going to be a square, and it really wasn't that big, and I was hoping that maybe she could use it as like a throw size, or like a sofa size quilt. It was not going to be big enough for a bed. I just didn't have that much fabric. So I needed to make it longer. It was wide enough, I felt, for the size that I was going for. So in order to make it a little bit longer, I still had some of this vintage fabric in my stash. So I made some flying geese for the top and at the bottom too. Let me stand up and I'll show you the whole thing. Now this is all basted now. So you can see there's flying geese here along the top, and then at the bottom there's also a row of flying geese there too. And so you can see when I hold it up now, it's long enough now. So this one is in line now to be quilted. And for the back of it, I had a piece of I had a sheet. It was a twin size sheet, and it was so pretty, and I really liked the colors, how they went with this. It was a white background, and there were colorful little tulips all over it. And it was a flannel, which would have made this really cozy for a sofa, but it just was not big enough. And I'm usually not averse to piecing the back, but in this instance, like, it was shy just a couple of inches, and I just didn't want to put a little tiny strip in the back of it. So anyway, I looked through my stash again, and I found this print, and this was also a sheet. This was also a twin, but it was actually, it came pretty close to the edge, but I did have enough. So this did fit the back, and you know, this green matches pretty well with what's going on the front too. So I was happy to get this one done. This was not very pleasant to do the basting on, just because it's been so hot, and because I based upstairs, and the upstairs of my house, you know, heat rises. So it gets pretty hot upstairs. But it's a smaller size quilt, so it's still, I let it take me about 2 days to do this. So this one's done now. So I'm glad that I got to this stage, and now I can move forward. So for the smaller Dresden plates in that quilt, they came from this box, which my friend Sue gave me from her grandmother. And so I think I shared this before. This box actually had 2 different sizes of blades in. This side over here, these were much smaller and had a much more rounded top here. And I don't think I'm interested in using these right now. So actually Pam said, don't cut them up or don't get rid of them. So she might do something with those. She might be interested in doing something with those. And this side over here was the pile that I used to make those 4 Dresden plates that went in that quilt. Now this pile had a lot of blues in it. And so there really weren't very many other colors in here. So I thought maybe if I just put all of the blues together and made some more blades with those, I could find a use for those. So that's what I did with these. So I just didn't get to doing all of it. I'm going to finish these too. I just didn't get that far yet. So I'm keeping all the blues together, and for right now I'm only going to sew 4 of them together. I didn't even press these yet. I just finished sewing these together yesterday. So there's some of that fabric, and then this set in here, these are scrappy ones. And then all of these are from this one fabric here. She had a lot of that fabric there. So my thinking is, if I keep them in a set of 4, I could put these just in the corner of a block with a little quarter circle on there, and use it like that. Or I could put 2 of these together to form a half a circle. And right now that's kind of how I'm leaning, because if I have a half a circle, I thought if I put those along just a long piece of, you know, like white fabric, I could put that on the border, like the outside border of a quilt. I haven't really gotten to that point yet. I'm still just making these, so I'm not really sure where these are going to end up. But I do know that as long as I have this box out and it's in my room, if I go ahead and make something from these right now, I am 99% more likely to use them in the long run. Because that quilt top is finished now, if I had looked at this box and just thought, well, it's finished, I'll put this box away, and if I need these again, I'll just get the box out again. I know that that is not likely to happen. I just know, just for myself, I'll just forget about it because I get so excited right away for the next project, and then I really dive into that, and then I just don't even think about these anymore. It's not that I wouldn't want to use them, they're just not even in my head anymore, because I sort of have cleared that project out, because the quilt is done that I wanted to make. And so in my mind then, all of this is done. So that's why I kept this out to make these, because now I know these will find a home. I will use them somewhere. So during the week, I'm going to work on the rest of these and get the rest of these done. And then that just leaves me with this pile. I thought there's not really enough in here that would look good to throw in with all these blues. There are so many blues and so few of these other ones that I kind of thought maybe they would look funny mixed in. There just aren't enough of them so that it would look cohesive. So I think I'm just going to put these back in the box and just kind of let them go for now. I mean, if Pam wants them, if she wants to use them, that's fine. But for now, I'm going to leave these out, and I'm going to finish these, and I will have then a stack of these Dresden plates. They have 4 blades in each, and so I know I'll be able to use them in a variety of different ways. I have been thinking too, way in the back of my mind, of making a row quilt, you know, where each row is a different block. And so when I was making these too, I thought I could use this in a row quilt too. I could have a whole row of like half circles. And maybe I would even get 2 rows where the circles would kind of go up like this at the top of the quilt, and then maybe scallop like that at the bottom of the quilt. So many possibilities. So much to think about. And but first things first, right now, I want to get these all put together, and I want these to go in a place where I won't forget about them. So I can sort of clear my mind of that. The next thing that I made some progress on this week, it's not big progress, but I still feel good about it because I'm moving in the right direction. I'm getting something done. One of my dear friends, she lost her husband in November, and she gave me some of his old shirts, and she wants 3 pillows made from his clothing. She wants to keep one, and she wants a pillow then for her son and one for her daughter. And so I'll make about a 20-inch pillow from his clothes. So the first thing I did was I took everything apart, and so I saved all the buttons. I saved all the buttons because she might want to keep those too. So those are all the buttons from the shirt, and she has 2 t-shirts in here, and then the rest were button-down shirts. So I took these all apart. And these are all different kinds of weights. This one is most like the weight of quilting cotton. This one is, it said 100% cotton, but it really feels soft and drapey, like a linen. So, and then this one also said 100% cotton, but it almost feels like suiting material. So all of these, each of these just has a totally different feel. This was a Hawaiian shirt. All of these said 100% cotton, and this almost has like a silky feel to it. And then these were some golfing t-shirts. So this is more, well, it's not like a typical t-shirt, but all these fabrics are so different. This was also a golfing shirt, and this one was too. So what I'm going to do to try to make sure they're all kind of going to behave the same is I'm going to put interfacing on all of them. I mean, most of them really need interfacing on, and I'm not like super worried about how they're going to behave because I'm just making pillows. I probably, well, after the pillows are done, I want to see what I have left over. And if I can get enough material out of here to make a little throw, like a sofa size quilt for her, I'll do that too with what's left over, if I feel like I have enough. I mean, maybe I could ask her if she has more shirts too, but first things first, the pillows are first. So this is the interfacing I get. I bought it from Amazon, and it says HBI products, and I've used this before. And here's the label on it. I've used this before when I made my quilt with men's ties, and it worked great. I had no issues, you know, no problems at all with it. And it comes on a good size roll, and I forget how much it costs. It probably wasn't that much. I want to say $12 or $13 maybe for a roll this size. You get pretty much out of it. And I forget it, I don't even think it says on here how many yards are on here. The label really doesn't give you much information, but there was pretty much on here, so it went pretty far. So that's going to be my next thing. The only thing really that has stopped me from doing that so far is I didn't really want to spend that much time with my iron on because we're in July now, and it's hot. So, but getting everything interfaced won't take that long, and then once that's done, then I can start cutting. And for these pillows, I talked to her about what she wanted, and I'm just going to do squares. And I'm going to try and divide them up so that all 3 pillows contain some from each of these shirts. And I did not cut away the pockets in the shirts. I left those intact because I think I want to include the pockets also on some of the blocks. And then the only other thing, this was, I think she really liked this one like a lot. And it is like it's a nice large print. And so I thought if I could get, if I could use enough of this for the back of one of the pillows, I think that would be nice. And then there was another shirt in here, this one, that had something on the back of the shirt that I thought might be good for the back of a pillow. It says older than dirt. So I don't know, I'll have to see what size that is. And so if I can get that to be the back of a shirt, maybe I'll use that for the back also. But I know she wanted this label on here that says dirt shirt, so I can include that into the front. And then this other one too that had a logo on that was special. It just says Housing Authority because he worked for the Housing Authority of Berks. And he's got some staining on there too, which she seemed a little worried about it, but I told her those are just memories. Those are memories of him, so include that. So they will get included in the quilt, or in the pillow as well. And one of the other things that I've been actively working on is some hand quilting. I usually do some hand quilting early in the morning, no matter how hot it gets. I think there were only maybe 3 days during our heat wave that I really didn't do any at all. I mean, it was just terrible. But usually in the morning when I get up very early before the sun comes up, it's usually cool enough at that time of day where I can still do some hand quilting. Now, I don't do as much hand quilting in the summer as I get done in the winter. Again, mostly just because of the heat. It just becomes unbearable to have a quilt on your lap in the middle of summer. It's too hot. But this is the one I've been working on. If you've been watching, you've seen my progress, how I started with a jelly roll that I didn't have any plans for really, and so I made these sort of scrappy trip around the world blocks, and then I paired them with some embroidery blocks that I've been collecting. And so this is the one that I've been working on with hand quilting. Now all of these blocks here, I just did a basic grid. So basically every one of these squares has an X through it. It's easy to do, it fills the space, and every piece of fabric is quilted. And then for the other ones, the embroidery blocks, I've been trying to do each one of those with a different quilting pattern, which for me, it kind of keeps me excited and motivated, because I don't really know what I'm going to do until I actually get to that square. So each one I kind of have to, think about for a little bit and see what I think might work for that won't kind of interfere with the embroidery design at all. So for instance, this one here with the two lovebirds, I did a Baptist fan on that one. And I think that looks really nice. That really fills the whole block evenly. I'm not going to show you every one of these today because that's a lot. I'll wait till it's all done for the big reveal. And then for the next one here, it's like a double clamshell. I don't know how well you can see the quilting on those. But if you can't see it super close, don't worry, because like I said, when this is all done, we'll go over this in detail and show you all of the quilting on it. And the blue marks on here are the marking pen that I use. And this is the Leonis, Leonis, marking pen that I get from Amazon. And I think it comes in a pack of 10 markers. They're short, but they still have about the same amount of marking stuff in it that the tall marking pens do. They last about the same amount of time. And so far I've had no problem whatsoever with any kind of fabrics. It always comes out. And so here's another one. Maybe you can see some of the quilting on that. And then, so the body of this is done. So I'm on the outer borders now. And it's still going to take me some time to do because I still have to do this white border here, this first border. I should have done that first, but I actually got too excited to do this part, so I started on this part first. So I have to go back and do that white part. And I'm thinking of just putting in a simple clamshell, like a simple scallop along the edge of that. So this one, it just so happened too that with all the scrolling I do on Instagram and all the sites that we all use, I just happened to see somebody else had done this pattern, and I saw where they put lines very close together on all of this part, the pole part, and it really highlighted the design and the pattern. So that's what I did on mine too. So they're pretty close together, the stitching on that. And then for this part, the ribbon part, I just put 3 lines along that. So I still have to do all of these white spaces in between, and then the outer border too. So there's still quite a bit of work to do, but I'm moving along pretty good with that. This strip here took me 2 days just to do that part, and so that's on this side of the quilt too, which I have not started that one at all yet. So that's at least another 2 days right there. And then with the other borders I have to do. The outside border, I think I'm just going to keep that simple. So I'm guessing that'll take me about 2 days also. So I still have some time to work on this, but I'm really happy with the progress that I've made on that. So I have a little story to share. Um, One of the videos that we did a show and tell, we did it at my friend's house, and her name is Toby. And so Toby was telling me that a friend of hers named Linda had been watching this channel called From Small Things. And she had heard me mention several things that are specific to this area that I live in. And so her friend Linda is a quilter also, and she's very involved in different activities around here. And so she kept wondering, who is this lady? I must know her. If she's a quilter, I must know her. And so it was just driving her crazy. So after months and months of this, she saw the video that I put up where I was going to my friend Toby's house. And so she said, I know a Toby. She must know this woman from Small Things. So she called Toby and she asked Toby if she knew me. And so, of course, she does. So Toby got me together with Linda, who's been a viewer of this channel for a long time, probably from the beginning. And so we got together at Toby's house to meet. And so I brought some quilts for show and tell, and Linda brought some of her quilts for show and tell too. And then Toby also brought out some of the quilts that she owns. Toby does not make quilts, but she is a quilt lover and a quilt collector. So what you're going to see is some of our show and tell with a new viewer, and now a new friend that I met through this channel. So enjoy. So the first up for show and tell was Linda. She brought some quilts to share, and the first one that she showed was the Perkiomen Valley pattern, but she put some friendship stars in there. And so she told the story of how that quilt came to be. She was up early in the morning. She walks very early in the morning with a friend of hers. They were out walking the dogs, and this one morning they saw 13 shooting stars. And it was so amazing. It really left an impression on her. So she made the Perkiomen Valley quilt pattern, and she put 13 shooting stars in that quilt. And it was just gorgeous, just beautiful. And the next quilt she shared was one from a book by Bonnie Hunter, and she used all shirts for all the piecing, just like Bonnie Hunter does. And that one was really spectacular too. That one really packed a punch because of the bright color that she used in the flying geese. And the next one too was also from a Bonnie Hunter pattern from that same book. The next one that she brought, she called Birds in the Air. So this one was an antique quilt that she bought. So she did not make this one, but it was wonderful for show and tell. And then the last one was the most spectacular in my mind. It was the Lancaster Diamond quilt. The original of this quilt I saw out at the Hershey Quilt Show years ago. Hershey doesn't have a show anymore. Hershey, Pennsylvania, by the way. And there were books written on it, and so Linda said she took an online Zoom class for this quilt to learn how to make all of the diamonds, and she said that was the thing that really helped her to finish that quilt, was being held accountable in the Zoom meetings by the teacher. She said the teacher was not letting anybody fall behind at all. You must have it done. And so, of course, in the end, she's really grateful that she did finish it. It's really spectacular. Now, Linda said that the way this class was taught was the teacher was trying to get people to make this quilt but put a modern spin on it. So she said almost everybody in the class used very modern fabrics or very current contemporary fabrics like Kaffe Fassett fabrics, something very vivid like that. But Linda kept hers pretty true to the original because she already had a lot of fabric in her stash that sort of looked like or mimicked what the original quilt pattern looked like. And she did hand quilt this quilt herself too. And it is a large quilt. It is really, really beautiful. Okay, so next up for show and tell was Toby. And as I said, Toby does not make quilts, but she does collect them. And some of the ones in her collection are ones that she bought from me. So the first one that she showed was, she just called it a cutter quilt. And it's sort of like just either like a 9 patch. You can kind of see 9 patches in there. But someplace it doesn't always form a 9 patch. So it's just really just a single patch quilt. Really old. I don't think really it's a cutter quilt. I think it could be repaired. And I don't think Toby is going to cut it up either. But you know, those old quilts are just always something you want to grab and snuggle. The second quilt that she shared was a baby quilt that was made for her husband. So let's see, Toby is in, oh, maybe I shouldn't tell you how old she is. Maybe she doesn't want you to know. She's a little older than I am now. But the quilt could probably be considered either vintage or antique. But anyway, it was made as a baby quilt for her husband. So how special is that to still have something like that? And Toby has 4 children, so I'm sure one of her children will inherit that quilt. And then she shared with us a quilt too that I've never seen in her collection before. It was a Civil War quilt. So it really does date, you know, from that time, from the 1860s period. And this was done in greens and pinks. And it's really in good shape considering the age of that quilt. And then the next one is a quilt that I made that she bought from me, and it's the blue and white log cabin, and the outside border on that one is pinwheels. Toby's 2 favorite colors are blues and whites. She has a lot of blue and white textiles in her house, and so when I had made that quilt, she really fell in love with it right away. So, and the logs in that quilt finish at 3/4 of an inch each. Okay, and then up next is a Hexi quilt that I made. I've had a lot of people ask me on the channel if I hand piece all my quilts also, and no, I don't, but I have made hand piece quilts, and this is one of them. And the very last one then that Toby shared was another hand piece quilt that I made. This is applique, and this was a Hawaiian quilt. I have bought a book with all like Hawaiian piece patterns in it, and I couldn't decide what colors to use because in the book they had all these gorgeous colors in each block, They weren't all just a single color like this quilt is, but I decided to keep it simple and just focus on reds, just all different reds. So this one is all hand appliqued, all needle turned appliqued, this red and white quilt. And I almost forgot, I have an actual finish this week. I finished my Cathedral Window little wall quilt. I was thinking about putting some blue binding on it. So I went into my leftovers bag and I had only 2 or 3 little blues in there. And they just didn't feel right for this, but I noticed I had blacks in there, and I had 3 long strips of black left over that fit this whole thing, and I probably had about 6 inches left over. So that worked out really great. When things work out so nicely like that, it's such a good feeling. So this is meant, you know, this is just a little tension rod, and the space that this is going in, it's probably this whole space here and maybe 1 inch. So I'll probably have just a little 1/2 inch on each side here. So it's going to fit that space perfectly. And then the hanging sleeve on the back here, this was the top part of a sheet, the cuff. So I just kind of sewed that onto the back. And I am so happy with the binding on this. I really love how this really frames this project a lot. I did really flatten this out really good before I applied the binding, but even doing that, these sections here where there's just a lot of bulk right here, most of it was okay, but there were a couple that were I could feel on my machine it was having to work a little bit to go over that, because these quilts are typically not meant to have a binding on it. But I'm really happy with the way the binding looks on this. And it's about 76 inches long, and I really like this. And that's all I have for this week. I feel really good that I got a lot more done this week than I did during the week of the heat wave. So now we just have to show this video to CJ and get him inspired to work more on his quilt too. So I hope everybody else is having a really good summer. And until then, happy sewing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.